Welcome back. Yesterday, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi attended a celebration in the City of Art in the new administrative capital. The celebration was to commemorate the 52nd anniversary of October War victories and to send a number of messages to the whole world. The most important message, it was the land of peace, as the celebration was held under this title. Egypt and the Egyptians made the first ever peace protocol or peace accord in the whole world. When Ramses II did it thousands of years ago with the Hittites, we never breached our accords. Our word is a promise, a commitment, because we are all the time working for peace. And it seems that President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is really willing to continue what his ancestors began thousands of years ago. Let's continue with more messages sent by the President and by the event to the whole world. And to welcome my prominent guest live here in the studio, Dr. Milad Momtaz, our political analyst. Thank you very much for being with us, sir, and a very good morning.
Good morning to you.
And as we speak about the event which took place yesterday, many dramas, artistic shows, documentaries, you name it. Meaning that Egypt is back to use its soft power to send messages to the whole world. And to mix art with politics, with culture, with civilization. How do you see the use of our soft power? How do you see the messages sent yesterday by the event? And if you want to pick at least some of them to speak about and in detail.
I believe what happened yesterday was a very crucial thing. You know, that wasn't just a mere event. Of course, commemorating or celebrating the 6th of October is something is very crucial. But what happened yesterday, something different as I saw it and followed what happened yesterday. And one of the most important messages is that it's about peace. And I don't think that peace is just a mere word. Okay, and I'd like to emphasize what you said as well about history, and we go back in history and Ramses II, because our country is a peace-loving nation. It's very crucial, it's very evident as well, not only crucial. Whoever wants to check out this, go back to history textbooks, you're more than welcome to check out whatever you want, any sort of facts. Throughout history, we have never been an aggressive nation. We are not an aggressive nation because we are not an aggressive people, you know, Egyptians themselves. We are not aggressive by nature. We are not hostile to anyone, okay? And throughout history, that's very evident. And we can give like numerous examples, or I would rather say like endless examples from history. It's very obvious. You give one example and I'd like to give another example, you know, a recent one. What happened in the late 1970s? Okay, yes, we are celebrating October 6th, okay, 6th of October. But at the same time, afterwards, after we won the war, and that was a huge victory on our side, we went to peace, you know. And we did that very much willingly. We were very much willing to do peace, not only to talk peace. By the way, there is a huge difference. Talking peace, so many people, they talk peace, but they never act peacefully. But we act peacefully and we talk peacefully as well. And that's what happened later on in Camp David Accords. So if we try to compare what you said a couple of minutes ago about Ramses II and then 1979, you know, the Camp David Accords, I think there is some sort of a resemblance here. Okay,
True.
It's not something that we'd say it's a coincidence. No, that's not just a mere coincidence by all means. It's us the same. It's us as Egyptians the same.
Fill the earth or fill the land with the peace hymns. املأوا الأرض بتراتيل السلام. These words were said by late President Anwar Sadat to echo what you have just said, sir, and there in the Knesset. And he said it bluntly, I would go to the last place on earth just to achieve peace. Returning back to yesterday, sir, and to have these documentaries about Sinai and about how the Egyptians would never let the enemy occupy an inch of our land. We turn to be monsters only when it comes to our land. And when even the journey is that difficult, we are going to conquer the impossible for the sake of this nation. Would you please, sir, I'd like also to focus on this point.
I'd like to say that, okay, what you've just said is not just rhetorical. It's not about language. We're not just using some big words. No, we mean it, as I said. Okay, it's like actions to us, not only just mere words. So when we talk about this, when we talk about, okay, that how tough we would become when facing this, by the way, we mean it. It's very crucial, and that's, I think, one of the most important message by President Sisi yesterday. It was very clear.
Yeah.
Okay, it's about peace. We mean peace. Okay, we will do peace. However, we do really get what power means. We understand what power means, and we'll be continuing doing this, but strengthening our army, you know, getting the most and latest sophisticated weapons ever from all around the world, and I mean it, from all around the world, not relying on a single power or single block actually to get our weapons from. So this goes like hand by hand, you know, together, peace and power. We were not actually wanting to do that kind of humble peace, despite the fact that we're humble by nature.
Yeah.
I'm not actually arguing.
Down to earth.
Yeah, very much. However, as you said as well, it's about power. We are very much powerful, especially when it comes to our dignity and our land.
One of the slogans of our armed forces, a hand carrying a weapon and a hand for reconstruction and building. But, sir, returning back to Sinai in specific, because by the end of the event, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi addressed the attendees. And he urged schools and universities to have journeys for our younger generations in specific to go and to visit Sinai themselves, to know to what extent this land is sacred. And it really deserved every drop of blood which was shed for the sake of regaining this piece of land. And he also said that we do have now 6 tunnels under the Suez Canal to connect Sinai to the Delta, meaning here there are 2 messages. To what extent Sinai is dear and valuable, and the infrastructure and the development witnessed by many fields in Egypt. Tell me more about that.
It's undisputedly crucial to us. Sinai, historically speaking, has been always, by the way, part and parcel of our country, you know. So that's, you know, we're not arguing over this. I'm not going to get into any sort of discussion, I'm sorry, historically speaking, with anyone who would say that, okay, wow, let's talk about Sinai. I'm very sorry. Okay, I'm into diplomacy. I really like politics. But I'm sorry, this is our land. We're not actually, you know, getting any sort of discussion regarding this. However, I'd like actually to add something else regarding Sinai. It's not only part and parcel of our country, it's part of our heritage, part of our history, you know. You know, so many things happened on this very dear piece of land of our country. You know, so Sinai has been largely contributing to our country, you know, culturally speaking, politically speaking. So we will not forget about Sinai by all measures. And regarding what you said as well, okay, not about the invitation, I get to the invitation later on. Okay, but I'd like to focus a little bit on the 6 tunnels. We still recall like 10 years back, talking about the infrastructure, roads, tunnels, because tunnels is part of the infrastructure.
Sure.
You know, so some people, they were wondering, you know, why all of this? You know, why money, actually, why spending a lot of money, billions, I would say, you know, and we spend billions of pounds on this. So, and when we look at Sinai, because that has to do with the invitation, by the way.
Sure.
The invitation wouldn't have been that strong or that efficient hadn't we done it, hadn't we built the tunnels. Because you go build the tunnels first, make it accessible, because Sinai actually needs to be very much accessible, and that's what we have been doing for the last 10 years. We are making that piece of land, okay, that what very much connected to mainland Egypt. Because when we talk about, okay, invitation, yes, we can get our students, our university students as well, not only school students, go ahead, go visit Sinai, because it's very much accessible. Go take a look yourself. And when it comes to the invitation itself, that invitation is not only valuable, crucial, it's something mandatory, you know. We have to go and take a look. Because actually talking about something that you have never seen it, it's so different than you go see it yourself. That's why, yes, I don't mind by all means. We get like topics to write about Sinai at schools, or we do some activities about Sinai, you know, in some universities. I'm not gonna witness this. This is actually very crucial. However, you know, when our students, especially when it comes to younger generations, I'd like to focus on younger generations, those little ones, okay, I'm talking about like teenagers, middle school and high school, university students as well, okay, like young men and young women as well. I find it as very crucial. So when they go see Sinai, yes, their parents have been telling them about Sinai and how crucial Sinai is. But when we add on top of this, okay, the whole thing about go visit this, I think that's very crucial as well.
Also, one of the shows, or part of the show yesterday, it was introduced by Ahmed Al-Ghandour, or Daḥih, one of the YouTubers really introducing very valuable content, and he was speaking about science and how we use science to help us in our victory back in 1973. And this means also that the state is very much keen to use social media and to know whenever there is a valuable content, even not on the official media, it's on social media, it's on YouTube, it's on Facebook, you are going to be here and you are going to be included, you are going to be part and parcel of our soft power. How do you see this, and how do you see the topic chosen to speak about science, to be that close to the younger generations who preferred the screens in their hands or their mobile phones to get their knowledge from?
Science is a must nowadays. You know, if we want to make it, you know, in today's world, if we want to have some place coherent, okay, place in the world, our today's world, science is something is very, not only crucial, it has to be there, you know, and this has to do with Brussels. If we actually, you know, about, I think it's called Horizon Europe, okay, one of the most advanced, you know, initiatives in Europe. Okay, I think it has to do with science. So we are on the right track. When building bridges with some really advanced, you know, blocks like Europe, and of course not only Europe, we're talking about, okay, other areas as well in the world. You know, as for America, we are open to whatever, okay, places that would, you know, we call it technology transfer. We are very much ready for this. We want this. We are pursuing this. So I think it's time, and I think we've been seeing this in Egypt. You know, so many universities, okay, and I think that's very
centers,
crucial.
And again, we're going to return back to the infrastructure. But since you mentioned Brussels, sir, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi only 3 days ago was in Brussels, and he was received by by King Philip, King of Belgium, and he co-chaired the first Egyptian-European summit. To have this strategic partnership with the EU and to thank Ursula von der Leyen in person, and we also how the European leaders showed respect to the president when he just entered the hall, how even the eye looks were really saying a lot. The body language of the European leaders were really saying a lot. And when the president was there to represent Egypt, it was as if all of them are thanking Egypt to shoulder this responsibility of restabilizing the Middle East region and being ready to exchange more cooperation and to exchange more expertise with our country. Would you please, I'd like you, sir, to elaborate on that.
Actually, I've said a lot about this. You know, so the question actually itself is not only, you know, crucial, it's very significant because it has to do with the true leadership. You know, as President Sisi was received there at Brussels, I think it was very crucial. That was a direct recognition of how heavyweight our country is. You know, our country is a highly credible country, and and I'd like to add something else, which I find it very important. We don't have hidden agendas. Okay, we are very clear. You know, we act what we say, and it's very much the opposite as well. So this is very crucial, and I think, you know, Europeans have seen, you know, the Egyptian diplomacy in action in the last 2 years. You know, and this has to do with yesterday's speech as well of Mr. President. As he said there, I think it was the first 2 minutes, 3 minutes, you know, talking about tough decisions. You know, making tough decisions is very difficult, and this has to do as well with another very crucial thing, is about displacement, you know, because it has, you know, to do with 2 years ago, that conflict started, and we still recall, you know, what happened at the start of this, because Egypt, for the last 2 years, has been warning no displacement. We're not allowing this by all measures. Okay, and yes, okay, that is very crucial. That was our commitment And when you stick to your commitment, I think in today's world, especially when it comes to diplomacy, I find it as very difficult.
How do you see the Brussels summit, sir, as saying that there is a new chapter of cooperation between the north and the south of the Mediterranean?
Europe has lost a lot in the last 10 to 20 years in terms of cooperation with the south, because Europeans have been relying heavily, and I would say maybe to a certain extent solely, on the United States of America. And during that period of time, as I said, they lost a lot. They couldn't make it, Yeah, there were some initiatives here and there between Europe and some other countries, but I don't think that it was that efficient. And I'd like actually to highlight something I find it very crucial myself, that the last 2 years, it was like a wake-up call to Europeans. It's like wakening them up. It's time to, take another look, reconsider the whole situation in the Middle East. And not only in the Middle East, between North and South, between Europe and their entire region, and Europe and Africa as well, because that's a totally different thing, which is, I find it very crucial. Because I think now, it's, by the way, Brussels and what happened at Brussels, it wasn't only about Europe and Egypt. It was about Europe and the Middle East. It was about Europe and Africa. It's about, as I said, Europe getting back on the right track, wanting to cooperate in a different way with other countries, because there's something else about the relations between Europe and the United States of America, because we have been saying the tariffs from the United States of America, being put on, so many goods coming from Europe. So Europe, I think in my mind as well, Europe is in a very critical situation. Not only politically, economically, culturally, I would say as well, because that has to do with what happened yesterday, and it has to do with what happened at Brussels as well. If we try to connect dots, this is very crucial as well. So Europe now, by joining forces with Egypt and becoming like on the same page with our country, I think it's very much well known that Egypt is the gateway to the Middle East. I'm not exaggerating. I think that what has been said at Brussels, by the way. It's the gateway to the Middle East. It's the gateway to Africa. So I think by building such bridges between Europe and Egypt, I think it's a very crucial opportunity for Europe coming back and playing a much more
the political
special
and
role.
economic dimensions are equal, or do you prefer to put one above the other?
They go hand in hand. By the way, we can separate politics from economy, because it's been always like this. I can actually do politics without taking a look or weighing in, the economic factors. For example, like what's been going on in Egypt for the last 10 years, 12 years now. We would see that, they go hand in hand parallelly. Politics and, economy.
I mean, sir, if we took it gradually, I mean, the UN General Assembly and the Egyptian participation there and the recognition of a Palestinian state by many of the European countries after the intensive diplomatic efforts by Egypt, then to go to the successful Sharm el-Sheikh Peace Summit, then to go to Brussels. How do you see these steps together reaching this culmination? I mean, to act after recognizing well that their gate, as you've kindly mentioned, to the Middle East, to the Arab world, to the Islamic world, to Africa, is going to be Egypt.
Definitely, yeah. Because, as you said, I'd like to go back to Sharm el-Sheikh. And that, wonderful scene, I stopped as I was watching, what was happening there, and that wonderful gathering, most of those world leaders there in Egypt, I want actually everyone to consider this. That was, a momentous thing, not only to Egypt, to the entire world. And when we consider, as you said, what's been going on in Gaza and the international community, by the way, straightforwardly, we can say that, so many people in the last 2 years, they were about to lose faith in the international community. Because actually, for the last years, we've been searching for this. Where is the international community? What you've been doing, stop it if you can. You should stop it. It's not about if you can. okay, because of the bloodshed that actually continued for 2 years. So I think, you know, it was what happened at Sharm el-Sheikh, in my mind, that was a restoration of this. You know, especially when you take a look at young men and young women, they were watching Sharm el-Sheikh, it's like getting back that kind of hope that they lost it almost in the last 2 years. And so what happened there at Sharm el-Sheikh was some of the heaviest world leaders, especially from Europe, you know, supporting this. I think that was very important.
And because of what you've just said, sir, yesterday, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, in his very short speech by the end of the event, said we were acting on our own. And he repeated the word on our own or alone for so many times, saying that we were working for the best interest of the Palestinian cause, for the best interest of the region, for not letting the enemy liquidate the Palestinian cause on our own. This is, I think, we can find the connection here. There were some who lost faith, as you've kindly mentioned, in the international community, but with the Sharm el-Sheikh summit, it's back.
I'd like actually to thank you for mentioning, you know, the word only that Mr. President stressed on yesterday, because this sheds light on so many things. You know, it means, in other words, that we were alone on this, you know, defending the Palestinian cause. Almost, we were the only country. You know, it's like, you know, from day one after October 7, I still recall this, we have never changed what we've been saying since day one. We were very clear, Mr. President was very clear, I still recall this, I think it was October of 2023. I think it was very clear. Mr. President made it very clear that, okay, because he was very much aware that of, you know, the different plans, hidden plans, liquidating the Palestinian cause and ending the Palestinian cause. That was, I think, one of the key goals of, you know, Israel, okay, you know, during the 2 years. So I think, once again, what's been going on, and what you said as well, the word only, this means, in other words, that our determination is very crucial. And our vision is very efficient, and our vision is very coherent. You know, and we get it right. We understand that's the right path. And let me remind everyone, I still recall the first couple of weeks after October 7th, 2023, the kind of hesitation and the foggy, you know, it was a foggy situation in the first couple of weeks. You know, and once again, no, we were very clear about this. No, that one, and determination is very crucial. And I'd like actually to mention something else, that Mr. President insisted, and that insistence actually was like a direct, like, echoing of the public opinion. So Egyptians, they were on the same page with the political leadership. It wasn't only the political leadership. Egyptians, you know, day one, they meant it. We're not forgetting about the Palestinian cause, wholeheartedly supporting and endorsing whatever being taken by the political leadership.
And this is exactly what I wanted to end with. This was Egypt's vision, whether on the political leadership level or the people's level. We are all one.
Exactly.
Well, Dr. Milad, thank you very much for your input, sir. I really enjoyed our discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We were very much delighted to have with us live here in the studio our prominent guest, Dr. Milad Momtaz, our political analyst. Right after the short break, we are going to return back with more, so stay tuned.